I always thought my late night runs to the quick check were uneventful, almost mundane, a quiet ritual in a town that never really slept. It was the only place open 24/7 for miles, a small beacon in the middle of nowhere. I drove there like it was next door, my sleep schedule a chaotic mess, my focus at its peak between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. That night was no different. I had been coding, completely absorbed, my mind lost in the hum of productivity. When hunger suddenly struck with a vengeance around 2 a.m., I shut down my laptop and decided to grab something to eat. The highway to the quick check was more of a local road than a real highway, empty and quiet. My drive was uneventful, a calming lull of nothingness. Pulling into the store, I ordered a sandwich and began wandering the aisles, my addict-fueled need for movement making it impossible to stay still. That's when I noticed him, sitting cross-legged on the floor, facing the refrigerator at the back of the store, was a man. At first, I thought I imagined it, but he was there, completely still, almost like he was part of the floor itself. Brown coat, jeans, unassuming, yet something about him screamed wrong. I moved a few aisles down, trying to peek without being noticed. But as soon as I turned the corner, he whipped his head around and stared at me. His eyes were unnaturally wide, lips quivering, posture twisted like he was straining to sit, and the blankness of his stare pierced through me as if he were a corpse pretending to breathe. I froze, my thoughts scrambled. After what felt like an eternity, I turned away, focused on the counter, pretending to wait for my food while sneaking glances at him. Then he disappeared. I thought that was it until I left the store. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him sprint across the parking lot, hopping into a truck. I sped off, heart racing, but then the headlights in my mirror revealed him again, chasing me. He honked, flashlights, and I realized with cold clarity that this was no random stranger. The terror I felt as I floored my sedan, trying to outrun him, is indescribable. Every instinct screamed for survival. The truck rammed me once, and I swerved, braking hard. He shot past, spinning out and disappearing into the field. I made it home, called the police, shaken but alive. The image of his dead eyes burned into my mind. Years before, during a summer run delivering electronics through New Mexico, I had a similar brush with danger. Driving through desolate stretches past Lincoln National Forest at 1 a.m., I spotted a woman stranded on the gravel shoulder. Instinct told me to keep going, but empathy, coupled with a Glock at my side, made me stop. She climbed in, jittery, slurring her words, refusing to explain anything clearly. I glanced back at her car and froze. A man had been hiding, holding something long in his hands, moving toward my truck. Fear and survival instincts took over. I floored the accelerator, the woman reaching for something in her purse, and I raised my gun to keep her still. Heart pounding, I navigated through the night, finally reaching a gas station, tossing a burner phone, and zip ties out of the seat, barely able to breathe, realizing how narrowly I had avoided a disaster. Cross-country travel also had its own strange encounters. Driving with my husband through western Kansas along Route 400 at night, I stepped out at a deserted gas station. Inside, the restroom smelled faintly of mildew and cleaning chemicals. That's when I noticed her, an older woman with messy gray hair, sticky and unkempt, wearing a thick purple and green coat in the middle of a summer night. She followed me into the restroom, lingered, pretending to leave twice, her breathing echoing through the empty room. Every instinct screamed danger. I left the stall, approached the exit cautiously, and she was gone, only to reappear outside, crouched, holding something sharp. I ran back to the car, heart racing, terrified of what she might do, yet somehow managing to escape unharmed. Even routine delivery jobs were fraught with terror. A cold January night in 2020, driving across the Midwest, I pulled off I-80 to stretch. The rest area was deserted except for a white van parked far away. As I returned to my truck, the van's headlights suddenly flicked on. It was following me. At first, I thought it was a mistake, but soon it began tailing me aggressively. Rolling down the window or stopping would have been a mistake. I knew that instinctively. I drove to a truck stop under bright lights, using the presence of truckers as protection. The van circled, two hooded figures staring straight ahead before finally disappearing. The fear lingered long after I parked, a reminder that sometimes the quietest stretches of highway can hide the most dangerous people. All these encounters share one theme: isolation. There's something about being alone at night in places where you expect nothing to happen that amplifies fear. Whether it's a stranger in a convenience store, someone lurking on a forested highway, or a woman pretending to leave a restroom, the feeling of being watched, stalked, or hunted is visceral. It gets under your skin, sticks to your thoughts, and refuses to let go. I've learned patterns, instincts, and precautions. Avoiding rest stops at night, keeping an eye on surroundings, and never letting your guard down. Yet, even with caution, the terror lingers. My mind replays these nights over and over, imagining what could have happened, wondering about the intentions of the people who cross my path. There's no resolution, no finality, just the uneasy knowledge that there are things out there, waiting, watching, ready to turn the mundane into chaos in an instant. Even when nothing seems to happen, the anticipation itself is paralyzing. I think back to that quick check, the brown coat, the dead stare, and I can feel my pulse quicken. I remember the feeling of that pickup behind me, every honk, every flash of headlights making my stomach knot. The world contracts to the narrow lane in front of you, to the car chasing you, to the fragile line between life and death. And that's what keeps the stories alive, the tension, the fear, the questions that will never be answered. Because the truth is, the world at night is different. The quiet, the darkness, the isolation, these are not just settings. They are participants, conspirators, and the unspoken threat that permeates the air. And once you've experienced it, truly experienced it, nothing is ever quite the same again. The memory lingers, the adrenaline settles only partially, leaving a residue of caution, of unease, a heightened awareness that whatever lurks in the shadows might be closer than you think. No matter how rational you are, how grounded in reality, the night has a way of bending perception, of turning ordinary people into something monstrous, ordinary objects into threats, and ordinary routines into near-death experiences. It's in that liminal space where fear is most potent, most raw. The world shrinks, time stretches, and every heartbeat echoes like a warning. Looking back on all these events, I realize one thing: survival is never guaranteed, and preparation is often only a partial safeguard. It's instinct, speed, and a measure of luck that determines whether you walk away or whether you become another story whispered about at gas stations, rest areas, and quiet highways. And even then, the memory of those nights, the feeling of someone watching, of being stalked or pursued, never really leaves you. It sits quietly beneath the surface, ready to surge when the night feels too quiet, too empty, too still.